Candace Owens controversy with Elon Musk. So recently, Candace Owens was in a podcast with Tucker and Jordan Peterson's daughter, and they were discussing Elon Musk. And Tucker basically is talking about the hero-like things that Elon Musk has done for society. And I'm pretty sure everybody can agree the things he has done is been exponentially advanced to anybody who's ever tried to do it. Like the whole thing with SpaceX being able to retrieve the launchers, that's huge because we used to waste a lot of money on that.
It's crazy that he gets
He
all the credit though.
Yeah, I mean it's not all him for sure, but it's kind of like the electric cars. He didn't do it. He just made the movement to make it more accessible to the public, right?
Well, guys,
That the whole mic, huh?
sorry, that's the point of a leader though. Like what, like if he's the one in position of assembling these teams together, and he's the one pushing for it and bringing the mastermind of putting these plans together, what, are you gonna give a shout out to the engineer?
No, no,
Like,
we don't mean within his own company. We mean people who have
Yeah,
done it
but
separately away
he,
from him,
yeah, he
from other
just
companies, and he's taken up their ideas. Kind of like Bill Gates. Bill Gates didn't make Microsoft. It was an Indian guy who coded that, but he stole the idea. You feel
stole
me?
it or bought it.
yeah.
I
Bought
Essentially,
it.
believe
he's
I'm
gonna
okay
steal.
with that. I'm okay with things like that because that brings innovation. So and then if there's a smart one coming
It's
around
copyright.
and coming
It's
doing something,
it's
yeah.
copyright, right?
But if it's
It's like
done,
if you're doing something, you gotta pay for it. I mean, I get they did pay for it, so
that's
it's
what I'm saying.
okay
So
in
if
that
it's done
sense.
legally, we're like if it's done legally and it's done in a way of transferring business to somebody else because somebody else can push it further, then I'm totally okay with that.
100%. But like the thing is, like these people are looking at Elon Musk like a hero, like he did things that nobody could. But in reality, other people did do it. It was just he was the face for it, right? But like I said, no one's gonna rebuttal that fact that he's done things hero like things like the microchip in your body that's gonna help you process information faster. Is gonna enable people with like problems like paralysis and all that stuff to be able to feel again, right? Reconnecting those nerve channels, all that stuff. But then there is a certain point where you can't, like, you can't overlook a person's motives just because of what they've done or the level of status they've had. And then that's what this video with Candace Owens talks about. She's pushing back on the idea that we can't just full on head and trust everything that he does because of all his accomplishments. Like we don't know his motives. We don't know why he does these things. We don't know what his beliefs are. We don't know what his morals are, right? So let's watch this video so we can get her perspective on this.
And that's 100% true. It's the same thing we've been saying in the past. It's like, okay, for example, like, we're all somewhat of in favor of Trump coming into power, right? Because of how far the pendulum switched one way, and he kind of brings the image of bringing normality back, which I'm in favor of. But
Mhm.
just because he's in power, I'm not just gonna go full blown like with him on anything he says. Like these people have power, and a lot of things like once you gain that power, power corrupts. So I totally agree with Candace. We do have to keep these people in check.
The superhero. And I didn't say that he hadn't done superheroic things. I thought that he was going to rescue speech on X. Even that's up for debate now, given the H-1B visa debate. But I was never keen on him essentially buying a seat at the table, which is what he's done, because we don't know what Elon Musk believes. I am a Christian conservative. Elon Musk, of course, is going to be at odds with me and my beliefs because he wants to put brain chips in people's minds. He wants to go to Mars. These things conflict with me theologically. I think he's a transhumanist. What are his perspectives on marriage? He's had how many different women? I think he has up to 13 different children. What is Elon Musk's endgame? And we have not seen people interview him fairly. They're either incredibly hostile to him, like you saw with Don Lemon, or they're too friendly to him, and which they just see him as a superhero. And I would actually like to see someone sit down and flesh out what Elon Musk actually believes. What is his goal? What is he trying to contribute? Because I don't think you can say that you are a conservative conservative, if you are not ultimately trying to conserve the nuclear family unit. And I don't think that he's trying to do any of those things. And so we're now seeing that, okay, maybe this is about AI for him. Maybe this is about data collection for him. Maybe this is about him wanting to be the first person and getting a leg into federal governments so that he can do things that are on a larger scale in terms of artificial intelligence. I don't know the answer to that. And not knowing the answer to that made me uncomfortable when people did what we always speak against, which is essentially turn him into a celebrity, that worship him like he's Taylor Swift, and think that because he's got tons of money and bought X, that he's now suddenly allowed to direct us on politics. I just am not into celebrity worship culture. We did.
Wow.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agreed with everything pretty much there.
Joseph, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Earlier, you said that you, and Popa, you too, you said you wanted to start going to church, right? Not today, obviously, but
Not me.
I mean, I've been going for a while, but yeah,
okay, so
like more
sorry,
consistent.
I don't want to speak on that, but what is your interpretation or belief on this Neuralink and putting the brain chip into people and humans in their skulls?
Saying there's two sides.
Transhumanism is what she said.
Pardon?
Yeah, so
Agree,
I think
disagree?
I think there's two sides to the coin, right? So I do like the idea that people are suffering from certain issues, right? That's not a good thing. Imagine you're paralyzed or whatever's going on in like any of those type of scenarios, and somebody comes along and is offering you like a pill or something where things can, and instead of a pill, it will be a chip where now you can get your limbs back, you can start moving again. I think that's a great thing for society. But now when you're starting to go into the like this is like the beginning product. But as time goes, Elon at some point is going to pass. Somebody else is going to come into power. And these people in the higher ranks of society are getting control of these things, right?
Yeah.
So
Now-
getting control of these chips, getting control of these technologies. So what if now they can put a chip in their brain where they're now 200% smarter than
Correct.
any human being living?
Correct. So
So
now,
it could really cause issues if, once again, power corrupts.
now, sorry, I don't want to cut you off there. Now it leads into my second question. Now, being as an able-bodied person and we live out here in society, what if they were to say 2025 moving forwards, all kids are going to be given these brain chips, and then as they grow up, they are outperforming all of us on our duties and tasks. Some might argue that that's not fair, that they'll have access to information quicker as they go through life than it has been for us to able to obtain that and retain it.
It shouldn't be mandatory. Point and simple.
I'm just saying if they did.
Whichever parent wants to do it, do it. If your country is mandating that, move the fuck out, bro. If that's what, if you're not okay with that idea, bro, it's these little steps that is what she's talking about. Transhumanism.
Yeah, but hold on. I'm also still against the idea of, okay, even if you could be a parent, who are you to actually, well, obviously you're a parent and you have majority of control, but now you're saying that that the parent should have a say whether the parent is going to allow the kid to get a brain chip. That's the same idea that you'd say the parent is okay to give a green light for these kids to get all these transitioning pills or transitioning treatments that will affect them for the rest of their lives and will never go back to who they originally are? Are we really going to say, okay, the parents should have a say like that? No, the kids should be living as a kid up until the age of 18, and at that point should make their own decision. That's what I believe.
Yeah, but in the scenario where they make it mandatory or they're putting it as a system that everybody's in school, the kid
there will have to be a fight.
The kid is not going to be the best suited person to make that decision. Usually is the parent who, and I'm talking about parents who really care about their kids and who are protectors, not all these weird parents. Talking about a protective type of parent who actually is looking out for their kid's best interest.
Yeah,
that's the best person to make a decision like that, right?
If we as a society allow it to get to the point of where it actually becomes a mandatory thing, where that can actually become a legitimate like push onto people and society, and my kid could be going to that school, I think that's a legitimate line to actually stand up and go all out chaotic for it.
Nah,
and I mean, generally saying a word like a fight, like that's because okay. So what are we? Would we allow that? Miggy, would you allow that?
No.
Would you want that?
No. But Julian, you were going to say something.
I was going to say, but let me throw this out here. If the parent had to gain that now once this kid took this microchip, kids now 100% self-sustainable. It'll cook, it'll clean. It might just be smart. You might just be outsmarted from day one, and now that's your parent.
Bro, it's like everything. They try to pass it off like it's a positive. Like, oh yeah, oh.
Don't
Oh,
have to
Yeah,
raise
so what happens?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put it like this: the kid wants to play PS3, and you don't want to let him play PS3. Now the kid is actually thinking of how to kill you.
And get away
No?
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But what if the
Yeah.
kid says, like, don't want to play PS3, want to build nuclear bomb in mom's backyard?
And you better say, yeah, you could do that, or else you might end up just attached to that nuclear bomb.
It's I don't see the necessary thing to like, unless you like those rare cases where like you need it to keep living your life because you're paralyzed from the neck down. Then that's up to that person to make that decision. Okay, am I gonna
Right.
go ahead with this? And because here are the positives and here might be the negatives. And then for those people, it really might be a positive. But for regular people who are able-bodied, who have brain capacity to think and all that stuff, it's not necessary to go that step. It's not necessary to go transhumanism. I'm not against robotics or AI. I definitely am against, doing something with your temple, your body, and switching it, because that's the first step for transhumanism, and then that's to evolve humanity into something that's not human anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what I gotta say on that.
Roll the clip. Roll the
We are-
clip.
Roll the clip.
Okay, I got another clip that ties into this, and this guy literally goes deep into Elon Musk. Like, she was just talking about why we shouldn't, put him in a pedestal and make him a celebrity. But this guy goes into deep details into Elon Musk's life and his motives and the things he has done, and then the connections that tie him to a lot of things. So let's watch this one.
Well, you just heard it from Cypher's own mouth. You know, the real world Cypher.
Elon rules the world.
Now, he does not just want to rule the world, but he wants to rule the whole universe. Well, let me rephrase that. The spirit behind him wants to rule the whole universe.
And okay, I'm just gonna pause it right there real quick. This is the costume that I was talking to you guys about, right? He has the inverted cross right here, and then he has the sign of the devil right here.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and
Demonic.
he was just wearing that like it was nothing.
And that
As
one,
we
that's a legitimate
continue
picture,
to
yeah?
see this
Yeah, it's a legitimate. You can search it up.
Okay.
narrative right here, how he wants to conquer other planets, which we know is complete nonsense. I wonder if anybody else finds it alarming that the same guy who wants to rule other planets, who is also the same guy who is planning on building at least 500,000 units of the Optimus robot in 2027, claims humanoid robots will be the biggest product in history. Hey, look at that. The same guy who desires to build 500,000 robots is also the same guy who wants to implement artificial intelligence into the government to cut federal jobs. And he is also the same guy who pushes this universal basic income and talks about how it will be required in the future. Talk about
That's universal public. Like that's like everybody making the same amount, right? That's like what these countries do with like there's no way to progress or get richer or get poorer. Like
creating a problem, therefore people will accept your solution. Now, he is also the same guy who is trying to push for an artificial intelligence that loves humanity. The other AIs being produced are not maximally truth-seeking. They tend to be trained to be politically correct. We need an AI that loves humanity, and that's why I created XAI. Just something else I wanted to point out, but we have this agency right here that I will not name. They created XAI in 2017, and their program concluded around 2021. And then just coincidentally, in 2023 is when Mr. Tony Musk started his XAI. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Back to this idea how he wants to create an AI that loves humanity, which as we know, he has named his AI Grok. Where the name Grok means to understand so thoroughly that the observer becomes a part of the observed, to merge, blend, intermarry, lose identity in group experience. Because instead of God so loved the world, he is trying to change it to be so Grok so loved humanity. Now, this idea of artificial intelligence merging with humanity can be found in the philosophy from this logo right here, which is the omega point symbol. And this omega point philosophy is the idea of the final step before singularity takes place. Once we achieve or cross into singularity, which will be the first and truly major evolutionary step in mankind, we cease to be humans. In the near future, computers will surpass our collective intellect, and our only way to maintain our place in the universe will be to merge with them.
The merge scenario with AI is the one that seems like probably the best. Like if you can't beat it, join it.
Transhumanism.
Joe,
Now let's trust the guy who wears a Baphomet costume, who also tells us the artificial intelligence is summoning the demon.
The artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
And you talked about that, Miggy, when you said when it looked like he was pushing back on AI, but he was never pushing back on AI. He was just stating the fact of what AI is,
He looks
which
tired.
where he acknowledges what it is.
Yeah, so he knows what he's doing.
Stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, you sure you can control the demon? Didn't work out.
This all starts to make sense when he's okay with going to hell. Thank you for the blessing, but I'm okay with going to hell, if that is indeed my destination, since the vast majority of all humans ever born will be there. He is one of the biggest individuals leading people down the broad road that leads to destruction. And how prophetic or poetic is it that he commissioned an art piece called A Fork in the Road? Now, the real spiritual fork in the road is choosing Jesus Christ for eternal life, or choosing your own way that leads to destruction. And this man has already made his decision, and he wants to implement the Novus Ordo Seclorum. But don't you worry, Mr. Tony Musk is going to bring safety and security to the whole world. As we can start to see right here, Italy is reportedly in talks with Mr. Tony Musk and his Starlink for $1.6 billion with a deal to provide secure telecommunications for the nation's government. Now, the reason why I call him Tony Musk is because he is the real-life character of Tony Stark. And I'm sure it's just a coincidence in the movie Avengers Age of Ultron, we have Tony Stark making or bringing upon an artificial intelligence to bring security to the world, but it actually tries to exterminate humanity. Just a coincidence, guys. Now, with that being said, my desire is to point everybody to the narrow way, the truth, the way, the life, having eternal life in Jesus Christ, where we are living in a world.
Amen, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
So it's definitely a video you gotta watch a couple times and look at all the facts that he's just spit. But
The costume is from
biggest
Diablo, a video game he plays.
Yo,
Yeah.
taking
one
how
of our,
the
one of our commenter, one of our live viewers is saying the costume is from Diablo, a video game that he plays.
yeah, I bet it is. But I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
really?
it's got layers to it, like everything. Symbolism is a huge thing, and it's always got layers.
bro, why does the XAI Grok symbol literally just looks like the cross fucking broken down, falling down? You know?
I don't know.
Like that's crazy.
Symbolism,
What a
but
coincidence. Crazy.
a lot of things are not a coincidence.
So
Go
my
ahead.
overall opinion on Musk is he did a lot of good. I think he does a lot of good. But well, once again, yeah, so you have to keep these type of people in check. And how do we keep them in check when technology is advancing so quick?
There's this saying that says the biggest trick the devil did was make people believe he was God.
Yep.
So a lot of these bad people start off doing good things just to trick you into, being with them. And then when the time comes that they really want to, do their plan and do whatever their real motive, you're not ready for it. You weren't expecting it. I'm not against them or with them, but I really am with the things he has said, with the tweets he just said, like he's okay with going to hell, with the way he said he's conscious, that like he just said the AI is the devil and all this stuff, and then him saying like, yeah, I'm okay with going to hell, is like he's stating what it is, consciously knowing what he's bringing about. And it's crazy, and like the way he ties it, like he calls him Tony Musk, right? Because like in the movie, he said that the Age of Ultron, he made the Ultron, the AI, to protect us, but instead it turns and tries to kill people. So it's definitely a fucking.
And I was never against Elon Musk, but the thing is, like, just like with any man, like if you don't fear God, right, and you're doing all these things, and there's a bunch of people praising you, it's just human nature to inevitably think that you're a God or what you're creating can replace what God is to a lot of people, right? If you don't believe in it, if you don't have fear, then you're just going to take that position, like subconsciously, whether you know it or not, right? So I don't know if he's deliberately doing this stuff. I don't know what he actually thinks, man. You could be thinking that you're doing the right thing, but also creating like the demise of humanity at the same time, right? It's really it gets tricky, right? Once you get more and more power.
And going
Like,
back to the point that Joseph was saying, the universal basic income. So I don't think universal basic income means everybody not being able to thrive or like bringing in innovation and being able to make more than others. It's just inevitably once you cut so many jobs because of robots and technology advances so far that there's actually pretty much like no job for people to take on. So
Yeah.
inevitably, for people to survive, there needs to be a universal basic income, like a like for example, like a minimum wage for people to
Yeah.
actually survive on.
but
Yeah.
look at the there's gonna be prerequisites of how you can get your thing. Oh, if you do this and this and this, you'll get your
All the
money.
rules.
Because
Yeah.
they're the ones that are giving the money. So for you to be
Yeah.
able to get the money, you have to do this, you have to do that,
Yeah.
you have to do that. And if you do all these things, then we'll give you your allowance. It's like a
Yeah.
parent gives a kid an allowance,
What
right?
are
It's
what are
it's
some of the
conditional.
things?
I'm
What
not
are some
sure,
of
but
the
I'm
things?
I'm, I'm not
No,
sure,
but
but I'm saying it's definitely gonna be like that because that's how Cuba has been run, right?
it could
Cuba
be a
has that
simple
system
example.
implemented. And
Yeah.
they do it with conditions. You meet this condition, you meet this condition, you meet this condition, we'll give you your allowance. And that's a
Yeah.
dangerous future.
A simple
Mhm.
example is
So
COVID.
is that so?
How,
So
right?
could it?
Take this like nice effect, or take this important effective vaccine that you have to take, or you're fired.
Or
You
you're
know,
yeah, it's
that's it.
conditional, and then anything that's conditional for a regular like you living, you getting food, you having shelter, and being able to make money to support all those ones is something that everybody should have regard like with no conditions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
no, I agree.
especially if the government is the one that's funding your income, like it shouldn't be like that. The other thing, Miggy, I want to push back on what you said a little bit on the fearing
Yeah.
God. I think I always think that term is a little bit negative. I think respect is a better word because fear is it's like me as a parent. I would never want my kids to fear me. I want them to respect me, right?
Yeah.
So fear is like it's like a word a lot of them used for people like to do things out of fear, and you should never do things out of fear. You should do them out of respect. And then in the term of respecting God, God is made the image of everything. So what they're trying to do is turn normal things and get it outside of nature, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely respect God and respect how nature is, and don't try to evolve it with different ways. Just let nature evolve itself. Let humans evolve how they're supposed to evolve, not with any microchips, not with any technology that's helping or pushing them outside of what's regular.
Yeah, I'm not. I just want to be clear. Like, I'm not trying to say you should fear. You should put people in places of fear to listen to what you're doing. But
Mm.
I think fear of repercussions is healthy, right? So in the
Okay,
sense
yeah, yeah,
of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's what I'm talking about when I
That's yeah,
say
that's
fear, right?
different. That's
You
different.
gotta you
Because like a lot
gotta
of
you
people use it in the
yeah,
term of like, oh, you need to fear God. And I remember when I was a kid, I would always read that in the Bible, and I did fear like the image of Jesus or the image
yeah,
of God. And I remember I didn't like that feeling. I wouldn't. I don't. Like being scared at night, like oh, like am I doing something
exactly,
that
yeah.
I like? Like
But that's a common misconception that people have when it
yeah.
comes to the Bible and stuff. The Bible doesn't teach you to be afraid of God. God loves you, but the
Hmm.
Bible teaches you of being afraid of the consequences that come with when you don't follow, when you don't believe,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. Because then you're just
Yeah,
doing whatever you
no,
want. You just default from doing what's being selfless, right?
Yeah.
And
To
then you
being
start
selfish.
going
Yeah.
into being selfish, right? And then
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
when
I agree with
problems
it.
start,
good
right?
I agree
point.
with
Right?
that.
Yeah, good point.